Hello, it's your boy, Autor Deluxe. And what are we doing today? We are doing me, top 50 of all time. My top 50 favorite movies of all time. These aren't the best movies of all time. These are the best of all time to me, ranked. So, no crying. I'm going to do a format where I just kind of run through them and then I'll pick one out of every 10 to talk about. So, like 50 to 40, 40 to 30, you get the picture. I'll pick one to spotlight and talk about for a minute, but the top 10, I'm going to talk about everyone in the top 10. And again, this is my top 50. These are my favorite top 50 movies. So ain't going to be no Moonlight, ain't going to be no fucking Star Wars. There's not going to be a Marvel movie. There's not going to be animation because I'm an adult. I'm a 33-year-old adult. This isn't the Oscars. There's not going to be anybody in there because I think they're supposed to be in there. These are my faves. So if you can handle that, that's annoying. So if you're interested in that, hop aboard. Let's do it. Number 50 is 2011, The Tree of Life, directed by Terrence Malick. Number 49, we're going to stop already because I want to talk about this one, is Playtime by Jacques Tati, 1967. This movie is just fun. It's really fun. I've never had so much fun watching a movie in my adult life. It's not just linked to nostalgia. It's just very visually playful, hence the title, Playtime. And the entire restaurant scene is almost like a Rube Goldberg machine on film. It's one of those, like, where every intricate part it has to fall into place, otherwise it would have fucked up the entire shot. There's a lot of that going on, and just Tati as the titular character is great. Number 48 is The Golden Glove, directed by Faith Aiken, came out in 2019. Number 47 is The Pianist, came out in 2002, directed by Roman Polanski. Number 46, Killing of a Chinese Bookie, that's 1976, directed by John Cassavetes. Number 45, The Friends of Eddie Coyle, this came out in 1973, directed by Peter Yates. Number 45, Hereditary, 2018, directed by Ari Aster. Number 43 is Alien, 1979, directed by Ridley Scott. Number 42 is The King. This came out in 2005, directed by James Marsh. There are a handful of movies titled The King. This is the 2005 movie titled The King, starring Paul Dano and John Hurt. William Hurt, one of them. Number 41, Baby Driver, 2017, directed by Edgar Wright. Number 40, I'm going to stop again. This is Thunder Road, 2018. Directed, written by, and starring Jim Cummings. This is a very emotional movie. This movie, it's capable of making you cry at like 3 independent parts in the movie. One in the beginning, one in the middle, one in the end. This movie, the performance by Jim Cummings is amazing. It is unforgettable. And again, I guess a common thread in some of my favorite movies are just very emotional movies. Anytime I go into a movie, I want it to have the capability of just changing the way I look at life or look at an aspect of life. And this movie blew me away. He's not a first-time director, but I think this is his first feature, and it's amazing. It's on Amazon Prime. You should watch it. When you're done watching this, watch this and then watch it. Thunder Road. Number 39 is Funny Games, Michael Haneke. This is the 2007 version, the United States English version. Number 38 is Michel Gondry's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Came out in 2004. Number 37 is American Movie, directed by Chris Smith, 1999. Number 36, The Decline of Western Civilization, Part 1. It's the punk one, not the gutter punk one in the 90s, and not the metal one, not Part 2 or 3. This is Part 1. Directed by Penelope Spheeris. Spheeris? Number 35, The Killing of a Sacred Deer, 2017. Yorgos Lanthimos. Number 34 is There Will Be Blood, Paul Thomas Anderson, 2007. Number 33, Uncut Gems, Josh and Benny Safdie, came out in 2019. Number 32 is Life During Wartime, directed by Todd Solondz, came out in 2009. Number 31 is The House That Jack Built, directed by Lars von Trier. Came out in 2018. Number 30 is American History X, directed by Tony Kaye. Came out in 1998. Number 29, No Country for Old Men, 2007, Joel and Ethan Coen. 28 would be Snatch from the year 2000, directed by Guy Ritchie. 27 would be Happiness by Todd Solondz, came out in 1998. This is Todd Solondz' second appearance on this list. Number 26, Breaking the Waves, 1996, directed by Lars von Trier. This is the second mention of Lars von Trier on this list. Number 25 is Good Time by Josh and Benny Safdie, 2017. This is the second mention of the Safdie brothers. Number 24 is Crumb, 1994, by Terry Zwigoff. Number 23 is The Devil and Daniel Johnson, directed by Jeff Fierzig, 2005. Number 22 is This Is England, directed by Shane Meadows, 2006. 21 is Dragged Across Concrete, 2018, directed by S. Craig Zahler. This movie just has a lot going on that's working in its favor. The cast is incredible. The dialogue is great. The entire last scene, the big set piece that the whole movie is based around, is great. It's got a very slow but deliberate pace. This movie, it took something I was not even really that interested in seeing. I saw it on some list. I wish I remembered what list it was. But I just like the title. The title jumped out at me. It was the first thing I've ever seen by S. Craig Zahler. But this movie, I haven't stopped thinking about it since I've seen it. It's great. It's reminds me of Jackie Brown, which is coming up later on the list. But yeah, this movie, I can't stop recommending it. It's a really good movie. Number 20 is Wayne's World, 1992, Penelope Spheris. That's her second time on this list. Number 19 is Amour, Michael Haneke, 2012. That is his second appearance on this list. Number 18 is Steve Jobs from 2015, directed by Danny Boyle. And this is not the 2013 movie that's just called Jobs, starring Ashton Kutcher. This is the 2015 one, starring Michael Fassbender, who plays Steve Jobs. And hear me out on this one, because I am not a Steve Jobs fanboy. I do not give a shit. Like, I have an iPhone, but I don't care. I wasn't eagerly awaiting his keynote speeches. I don't necessarily like Danny Boyle. I don't necessarily like Aaron Sorkin. When I saw this movie, I did not really know a lot about Michael Fassbender. I think I'd seen Hunger, and that's about it. I'd seen Hunger, and I think I'd seen Shame. But when I saw this, I don't even know what made me want to see it, because I don't care about the subject matter. I think I saw it must have been the trailer, because this movie is incredible, and I will stan it forever. I think a lot of people need to go see it. Because I'm not sure what kind of following it has, or what kind of, if it has any critical acclaim or like cult status. But in my book, this is an amazing movie. Somehow you take all those elements that I don't care about, but they are put together in a way where it is a really good movie. Just the performances are great. It's funny that Michael Fassbender looks nothing like Steve Jobs. And it's just all these weird elements. Like his performance, Jeff Daniels' performance, and the dialogue is incredible. The dialogue is so good. And it is structured very weird. It's just shows him in his keynote speeches. The majority of the movie, or maybe the whole movie, is just almost like a play. Takes place on the stage or behind the scenes of his keynote speeches. And we never even get to the iPod. By the time we get to the end of the movie, I think he's talking about the iPod at the very end, but he's not even at the keynote speech for the iPod, I don't think. I don't remember. I haven't seen it in a while. Feel free to correct me. But it's just so weird that they chose that way to tell this story, this time period to tell this story, and then for this movie to come out, and it does not paint Steve Jobs in a good light at all. It came out less than 5 years after he died. And again, just the dialogue is incredible. To watch Fassbender and Jeff Daniels argue, it's like watching two people sparring. I can't say enough good things about this movie. I really hope people will go out and see this movie.
You sure it wasn't Lee Clow who dragged his feet selling the 60?
At my direction, Steve. You think he would have done that on his own, taken it on himself?
Yeah, I think he would have done what it took to save it from you.
I was the only thing protecting it.
You didn't want the ad because you were trying to kill the Mac 2 months before it launched.
You are fucking delusional.
Can I mention something to you?
Sure.
I have no earthly idea why you're here.
The story of why and how you left Apple. which is quickly becoming mythologized, isn't true.
And I take this to the board myself.
Don't do that.
I am doing that.
You can't.
Why?
They believe you're no longer necessary to this company.
Number 17 is Planet of the Apes. This is the 1968, just the original Planet of the Apes. New ones are fine. They're fine. It's not the fucking Tim Burton bullshit. And not any of the sequels. I mean, the sequels are fine too, but they're not on my top 50 of all time. Number 16 is Benny's Video, 1992. Again, this is the third time Michael Haneke is on my list. Number 15 is Palindromes, directed by Todd Solondz. This came out in 2004. This is his third appearance on my list. Number 14 is American Psycho. Came out in 2000, directed by Mary Herron. Actually, I don't know how this got this high on the list. I just read American Psycho for the second time. Yeah, I was obsessed with this movie as a kid, but fucking 14 is a little high. Okay, whatever. Number 13 is Phantom of the Paradise, directed by Brian De Palma, 1974. Number 12 is Waves by Trey Edward Schultz, 2019. Number 11 is The Royal Tenenbaums, 2001, directed by Wes Anderson. Okay, now we're getting into the top 10. Number 10 is The Fly, directed by David Cronenberg, 1986. This movie, it's so good because it has layers. Like, on the surface, it's just a gross out monster movie, body horror. You've got Jeff Goldblum, who you can't really go wrong with. And it's got all the Cronenberg stuff. But this is the high watermark for Cronenberg. I look at Cronenberg and I think, like, I know it's Cronenberg and everything, but is Scanners that good? Is Videodrome that good? I don't know. I'll have to watch them again. But I just think those are movies just people just always say are good. But at the end of the day, like, they're good. But are they good? But The Fly is good. The Fly is great. The Fly has levels. Like, it's this gross monster movie, but then it has layers. Like, it's really, I think it's about cancer. It's about death. It's about addiction. There's a million things you could substitute what Brundlefly is going through. And that makes it highly a step above any other Cronenberg movie. Number 9 is Jackie Brown, 1997, directed by Quentin Tarantino. There's something to be said about a movie that's just about people hanging out smoking pot, that when you're the age where all you're doing is hanging around smoking pot and you discover this movie. So it's a little nostalgia based, but I mean, I think Tarantino needs to be on this list somewhere. And this is the one. This is my favorite Tarantino movie. He does this classic thing of bringing back an actor that I wouldn't know otherwise. A couple of them. You got Pam Grier, you got Robert Forster. This cast is just amazing. You've got Robert De Niro, you've got Samuel L. Jackson, you've got Chris Tucker, you've got Michael Keaton, Beetledude himself. Yeah, you can't go wrong with Jackie Brown. It's one of those movies I've seen a million times. Endlessly quotable, great music, great soundtrack, great dialogue, great heist stuff, great just high stakes, tense heist stuff. Number 8 is Antichrist, 2009, directed by Lars von Trier. This is his third appearance on this list. This is an ugly movie and this is a difficult movie, but it's also a beautiful movie. And it's also a very, I don't want to say deep and sound like a dipshit, but it is. It's a deep movie. If you want to go for the ride with this movie and you give it multiple viewings, it's very beneficial and you get a lot out of it. The first time I watched this movie, I looked at it as Defoe is the protagonist and he's dealing with bitches be crazy. His wife's going crazy with grief and just look at her and how's he putting up with this? And then upon another viewing, I look at it as, oh my God, the Defoe character is this master manipulator and she is a victim. This movie, it uses ugliness and it uses savage violence and gross images, which I don't know why Lars von Trier feels the need to do that, but it left a mark on me. It made a true fan out of me, because when you dig deeper, there's more there. Like, as with The House That Jack Built, there's a lot there. That's a gross movie I never want to see again, but there's a lot there. There's a lot of him going into his own art and grappling with his own art. But we're not talking about that movie. And again, but Breaking the Waves, that's another one. That movie, he doesn't use the savage, gross images that are disgusting. And look at what he can do when he doesn't do that. That is a beautiful movie. That is a powerful, emotional movie. So anyway, this is where it all started for me. Antichrist is what got Lars von Trier on my radar, so have to give it up for that one. Again, it's one of those movies I want to see it 10 times, but I also never want to see it again. It's an upsetting movie, but it's worth going there. Number 7 is The Master from 2012, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. That's his second appearance on this list. The other one is There Will Be Blood. This movie, it's just a powerhouse. Just the acting. You just look at these two very strong characters. You look at Joaquin Phoenix's character, who's just this raw bundle of nerves, like live wire, raw nerve. And then you look at Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, who he's playing this L. Ron Hubbard. He's playing this pompous, but like he does have some kind of secret knowledge. He's very intelligent, but he's very manipulative. And just to watch those two play off each other, and don't even start about the soundtrack, don't even start about the score, and just visually, this movie, by the time, when they're just showing water, it's beautiful. This movie, there's not a shot in the movie that you wouldn't want to frame and put in your house. Number 6 is Jurassic Park, 1993, directed by Steven Spielberg. Do I need to tell you that? If I need to sell you on Jurassic Park, I don't know what's wrong with you, and I don't want you to watch my channel. It really is that movie where you drop everything to watch it every time. And it might be nostalgia-based a little bit, but if you aren't filled with wonder at a movie where you can realistically believe that dinosaurs are back, and it's the way they're selling it, like, oh yeah, the amber, that would work. If that doesn't interest you, then I don't care what does, because that's a perfect movie. It's not my favorite movie, but it is definitely a perfect movie. All right, now we're getting into the top 5. Number 5, The Shining, 1980. Directed by Stanley Kubrick. I feel like we kind of take this movie for granted because all the images we've seen a million times. Like, Homer Simpson comes through the door. I think fucking Slipknot does a video that is basically The Shining. And it's just been done to death. But when you strip it down of all that, like, go watch a screening of The Shining at midnight somewhere and come out and tell me you're not, like, shook. The movie is genuinely fucking scary. And it has all these iconic images. It's got amazing performances. It's my favorite horror movie by far. Like, not even close. Number 4 is Krisha, 2015, directed by Trey Edward Schultz. This is definitely the movie I tell people to watch the most out of probably the last 5 years. I was looking through some list, and it said, like, movies John Waters recommends. And it's funny, because I always listen to John Waters, and I'm not even really that big of a John Waters fan. I like him. I've read Crackpot. I've read a couple of his books, and they're great. But as far as his movies, like, Pecker's great. I like Pecker. But, I mean, I don't really give a shit about Pink Flamingos. It's kind of gross. But anyway, long story short, I listen to John Waters. When John Waters says something's good, he's piqued my interest. So he posted, or this article was posted, and it was an image from Krisha, and it's just this older woman smoking on a porch, and I was like, okay, I want to see what that's about. And it just so happens that I watch it, and it's this amazing movie about addiction, about being alienated from your family, told by a first-time director who did this movie for no money, shot it at his parents' house, and just comes out with an incredible movie, one of the best movies I've ever seen that I can't stop championing. I'm definitely a disciple of Trey Edward Schultz, and this is his second time on my list. I think I forgot to mention that. This movie is, I mean, I'm kind of biased because I am an addict. I'm an alcoholic. Hi. But I watched this movie while I was drinking. I watched this movie while I was trying to quit drinking, and I've watched it now since I've been sober for over a year, almost 2 years. Thank you. And they just get everything right. You get everything right about addiction. You get everything right about being the black sheep in your family and being alienated from your family, and just that urge where it's a physical addiction, and you put everything on the line to feed this addiction, whether or not it disintegrates your relationships and ruins your life. And the first couple times I would watch it, and I would really empathize with Krisha herself, and say, oh my God, look at what she's going through. Look, I've been through this. I'm literally going through this the first couple times I saw this movie. And I look at it now, having quit drinking and hopefully staying quit drinking one day at a time. And and now I look at what she's putting her family through. And it's just so true, tried and true. And you know that it's coming from somewhere. When Trey Edward Schultz is telling you something, it's coming from somewhere, except for maybe It Comes at Night, which was just kind of a shitty whatever. But this and Waves are just emotional powerhouses. That's why I don't stop talking about him. These movies are emotional gut punches. The performances in Krisha are okay. It's a lot of his family members. Krisha is his aunt. Spoiler alert. But the guy that plays the uncle, I forget his name. He's great. Just yelling at the dogs in the background or on the back porch.
What have you been doing?
I have been living a life in which I have tried to become a better human being. And that's as much as I'm interested in saying to you about it.
This is a place of healing. Right here it is, Krisha. This is it. You can say anything, anytime, anywhere. You let me know. When it's all said and done, I'm married to your goddamn sister in there, and I'm family.
Thank you. And I appreciate the offer. And as soon as I have anything really incredibly revealing that I want to say, I will definitely come right to you and say it, dude.
Well, I'll tell you what. You can write it down, and I'll read it later.
Okay.
Shut up!
Very subtle.
Not bad.
And there's these great swooping shots because I think I mentioned this on the channel before, but Dre Schultz interned for some Terrence Malick movie. I want to say A Tree of Life, but I don't know how young he is. I don't know if that would line up. But you see that. You see these vast swooping shots and the dogs in the sky, and then the entire sequence of her cooking the turkey, and the music just goes with how anxious she is. And this is a big day in her life. This is like in a normal movie, this would be Normandy or this would be a bank heist, but for her, just cooking dinner without fucking up is a huge deal. And the fact that he can do all that for no money, with barely any actors, at his parents' house, yeah, that's a big movie. That's a big deal. Number 3, Robocop. I can't even fucking say it with a straight face. Robocop, 1987, Paul Verhoeven. What do I need to say about Robocop? This is probably nostalgia again. I'm letting it get the best of me. But Robocop is almost a perfect movie. Just the satire, the world of satire that he creates, Verhoeven creates. This is the sound design, the bad guys. You've got great fucking bad guys. You've got Ray Wise. You've got Red from that 70s show. Just horrific bad guys. The whole origin story of Robocop is horrific, of him being shot down and just brutalized. You see his hand explode. This movie is way more violent than you remember it being. The technology, not so much technology, but like the movie magic of the mech. I forget what it's called. I'm gonna hate myself later. But whatever that big robot is, that thing looks amazing. Just the shooting the guy coming out the window. This is me just being a little boy. I do just love this movie, and it can't go lower than number 3. Sorry. Number 2 is Fargo from 1996. Joel and Ethan Coen directed it, the Coen brothers. It's the second time they appear on this list. Fargo is just one of those movies that it propelled me into liking movies more than maybe any other movie I've ever seen. And it's one of those movies, as soon as you're watching it, or as soon as it starts, you realize you're watching something special, you're watching something different. And just from the opening shot, and there's so many sequences that are just burned into my brain. You've got wife running around with a bag on her head, running into shit. You've got the wood chipper. You've got when they're driving through, like there's some kind of ticket taker, and they see him with just like the blood, see Buscemi with the blood. Jerry scraping the ice off his car, and every performance is good. From the top on down, even the little bit character actors, like the hookers and like the Asian man that comes after Francis McDermott's character, trying to hook up a love connection from Days Gone. Just everybody in this movie plays their part perfectly, and it's just like a beautiful amalgamation of fuck ups. Like nothing goes right, and it's so fun to watch that. And my number 1 movie is Midnight Cowboy. It came out in 1969, directed by John Schlesinger. This movie just has everything. It's got incredible music, incredible performances, incredible cinematography. I love the flashbacks. It's just heart-wrenching. It's life-affirming on the same token. It just has the whole width of human emotion in it. And it looks great while it's doing it. It sounds great. Just you have the optimistic Joe Buck, who is just like a puppy dog, and then Ratso Rizzo, who is a negative New York hustler slimeball, and you get those two together for a buddy film, and it just feels good. I want to live in this film. I want to hang out with these people. That's probably fucking weird, but my dream has always been to get the fuck out of where I'm at and go to New York and make it, and that's what this movie's about. And I won't spoil how it goes, but yeah, this movie, I just feel a very strong connection to this movie. I don't even really know why. I can't even really explain it, but it's just one of those. The moment started watching it, I was like, okay. As soon as that Nilsson music kicks in, and you've got Joe Buck running through the streets of New York, you got Joe Buck towering above all the short New Yorkers. It's just great. This movie is like home cooking. I fucking love it. So there you have it. Those are my top 50 movies of all time. My top 50 movies of all time. What are yours? What do you think I left out? What do you think I need to put in? That's the same thing. What do you think I needed to take out? What do you think I need to put in? And what are your top 50? What are your top 10? I would love to know. It's my favorite thing, is finding out what people think about movies and what their favorite is. So hit me up. Instagram at Auteur Deluxe. Twitter at Auteur Deluxe. Letterboxd at Ween, WEEEN. The extra E is for entertaining. And until next time, stay hydrated.
Where's that Joe Buck?
Where's that Joe Buck?
Get along, little doggies.
Where is that Joe Buck? Look at this crap!
Yeah, where's that Joe Buck?
Where's that Joe Buck?
Where's that Joe Buck?
You're due here at 4 o'clock.
You know what you can do with them dishes. And if you ain't man enough to do it for yourself, I'd be happy to oblige. I really would.